welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. If you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend you listen to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. I've also set up a Facebook group for us to connect and to support each other, and I'd love for you to join me over at Elements of Ayurveda podcast group. And now, here's the show. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Elements of Ayurveda for 2019. I hope you all had a wonderful, healthy, happy holiday season. And in this first episode of 2019, I wanted to devote to answering your questions. So before the holidays, I put out there in the Elements of Ayurveda podcast group on Facebook, I asked, what questions do you want answered? I also asked the same question in my weekly newsletter. So I'm going to answer some of those questions today, and thank you in advance to all of you who email me and who posted questions in the podcast Facebook group. It was really great to hear your questions, and I look forward to answering them today. So we're going to jump right into it because there are lots of questions to cover. And the first one came from Jamie. And Jamie asked, if coming from SAD, the standard American diet, and newish to Ayurveda, what are the three most important things to do or address first? Well, Jamie, great question. A big question too. And do I really have to define it down to three things? Which is hard for me because I always like giving lots of advice from Ayurveda. However, I will bring it down to three things because it is important to start small with small steps. And Ayurveda is a vast science, and it just gets deeper and deeper the more you study. And it's so important not to be overwhelmed by it, but to start with little steps. So I like, Jamie, that you did in fact break it down and give me three things I can work on. And here it goes. The number one thing would be sleep. Most of us are very sleep deprived or have trouble with getting good quality sleep. And this is in part to our modern lifestyle of lots of multitasking, lots of devices taking our attention. We're always on. So our nervous system is very activated during the day. And therefore, when it comes to trying to settle down at night to sleep, it can be very challenging for a lot of people. A lot of clients I speak to, that's one of the big things we have to deal with is a nighttime routine. So I really encourage you to focus on sleep first. Sleep is so important in order to be able to function the next day physically, mentally, to be able to have the bandwidth to work and carry on with our lifestyle. Sleep is the number one. So getting to bed by 10 p.m., as Ayurveda recommends, because as we know by now, in the circadian rhythms, the Pitta energy rises at 10 p.m. and can give us the illusion of a second wind. However, this energy is not for us to be up and active or watching TV or working or out partying. In fact, this Pitta energy rises to digest our food and our thoughts and experiences from the day, to detox our body, to rejuvenate, and to restore us, to prepare us for the next day. So that's why it's so important to respect that as much as possible and be in bed at 10 o'clock so that your body can do the work while you're sleeping. And if you're up and active at this time, your energy is taken away from all that detox and rejuvenation. Therefore, you're going to feel it the next day. So sleep, the number one thing. And if you're having trouble sleeping, normally in a consultation, I tailor it to the person's lifestyle, what I suggest. But in general, I would suggest getting off all devices at least an hour before bedtime. Turning off the TV, getting off the phone, getting off the computer, and then have a nighttime ritual where you're winding down slowly for bed. Maybe that's having an oil massage and then leaving that sit on the skin for a little while. And maybe if you haven't already done so, doing your to-do list for the next day. So you're getting all those things out of your head and onto paper. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's just burning some lovely essential oils in the bedroom, making a nice kind of calm, tranquil bedroom. Or perhaps reading a book, maybe not an advice, but actually reading a physical book. Burning some candles, having some nice chilled out music going on. Or if you have done the oil massage, maybe taking the shower then after it's allowed to sit on your skin for a while, and then taking a shower to wash off the excess and winding down, maybe some deep breaths, some pranayama before bedtime or some meditation. It's so important to have that kind of wind down. We can't go from watching a high action movie or being on the computer working and expect our body to just go sleep straight away. I'm sure you've experienced it where the mind is racing. So what can you do to alleviate that racing mind, that heightened nervous system? And we just need to calm it down. We need to let the body know, okay, it's time to wind down. We're going to go to bed soon. And the more that you have these rituals in place every evening, this nightly routine, the body will get to know the routine and then will automatically start winding down. And that's why routine is so important for us as well. So the number one thing there, Jamie, is sleep. The second one would be diet. Diet is so important. Of course, in Ayurveda, we say there's no one size fits all. It needs to be tailored to each individual. And we each have an individual and unique mind-body type made up of the 3 doshas of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. We each have a different ratio of 2 or 3 of those doshas in our constitution. So really have to focus on our food. But here I would say to you, in regards to the standard American diet, which can be highly processed, I would say go for the soul food diet, seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local. And the best way to do that is to go to your local farmer's market. Hopefully you have a weekly farmer's market in your area, and go there, see what's in season, buy those vegetables because nature gives us what we need to keep us in balance each season. And therefore, you know that you're getting food that's in tune with the seasons, that's balancing for the doshas that may be heightened at that season, that's local, right? You're supporting your local farmer's market, and you're not creating a big carbon footprint because you're buying local produce. And also that it's generally economical because what's in season is going to be a lot cheaper. So I highly recommend that. Like I said, in order to give you direct advice for your constitution, I would need to speak with you. But in general, a soul food diet is a great way to go. And then planning your meals in advance is so important. So check out what's at the farmer's market, see what's in season, buy that, and then make your meals around that. This makes sure as well that you're getting lots of variety in your diet, which is key. Because I know a lot of times, and I can get into this rut myself, is that we're cooking the same old meals. And sometimes we don't even get time to think about it. And we'll just, do the same old recipes that we're comfortable with. So it's important to have variety. Starting the new year, maybe that could be one of your intentions going forward. And if you have a busy life, busy family life, and you don't have much time for cooking, well, then I always recommend batch cooking. So maybe at a weekend or a day off, or when you have some time, is to do cooking in batches, enough for 2, max 3 days. We don't want leftovers to go definitely beyond 3 days because they get a little bit tamasic. But, if we have a busy lifestyle, we have to do what we have to do. So batch cooking is great for that. So that's my recommendations. And number 2. And finally, number 3, I would say would be meditation. and or taking some time in nature. You see, I snuck 2 in there because I can't just stick to 3. But basically, we need something in our life that's going to help calm the nervous system, particularly when there's lots of news coming at us, lots of distractions. We have a very vata aggravating world that we live in right now. And so anytime that we can get away from that and just switch off, even just for a few minutes, 5 minutes meditation, if you're really busy, although I would always recommend at least 10 minutes or more. But anytime we can get away from that constant on in our society, just to be calm and still and reflect and see what's going on in our mind, and maybe allow creativity to come in. You know, if we're always on, if we're always busy, we don't get any in those inspirational thoughts or intuition coming in. So taking time to meditate, I always recommend first thing in the morning before there's any stressors that come into the day or before there's any distractions, waking up and just getting right into a meditation. And if it's a thing that you're like, I just don't have time, my kids are up early, I have a hectic family life, well, then I would say take them out in nature. Maybe after school, go by the park, and where you can watch them playing, but at least you're getting some time in nature as well, or going on a little walk with them through the forest. So there are ways and means to take some time out. It may not be perfect if you have a very busy lifestyle, but if nature or meditation, but it's so important for us to have that time out. So there are my 3 tips, Jamie. Sleep be number 1. Diet be number 2, and then meditation or time in nature number 3. Thank you so much for your question. Okay, moving on. Angela had a question, and she said, I've taken several dosha tests at reputable sites, and a few years ago, I had an assessment with a certified Ayurvedic practitioner. Each time the results revealed different imbalances in different doshas. Why is this? And how do I know which one to work on balancing first? Great question, Anja. Thank you very much for submitting it. So let me start by explaining to everyone that our dosha is determined at conception. And it's a unique ratio of the 2 or 3 types, the vata, pitta, and kapha. So we may be vata, pitta. We may have vata, pitta, and kapha. So it's a unique ratio of those 3 doshas that make up our constitution. Our constitution is our individual blueprint. It's just like our fingerprint. It does not change throughout our life, and it's very, very much individual to you. However, these doshas can go in and out of balance due to diet, stress, age, season, lifestyle. There's so many factors that can take them out of balance. And in fact, they're always fluctuating. So your actual dosha doesn't change. Your mind-body type stays the same, but the ratios of vata, pitta, and kapha in your constitution may change. For example, if you're in a climate that's hot, well, then that's going to increase the pitta energy in your body because that heat is associated with pitta. So it's going to increase that pitta dosha in your body. If you're in a climate, say in the northern hemisphere, that's winter, or you're in a climate that's dry and cool and windy, then that's going to increase vata in your body. Or if you're in a climate that's damp and moist, here in the northern hemisphere, that would be spring, well, then that's going to increase kapha in your body. So that's just an example of how our environment can increase our doshas, and so too can our diet, depending on what we're eating. If we're eating a lot of hot, spicy foods, that's going to increase pitta. If we're eating a lot of comfort foods, stodgy, oily, heavy foods, that's going to increase kapha. And if we're eating a lot of dry, light, airy foods, that's going to increase vata. And so too can our lifestyle cause imbalances. If we're running around a lot, if we're not having much time to rest and recover, that's going to increase vata. If our lifestyle is very intense, very competitive, very hard working, that's going to increase pitta. And if our lifestyle is very lethargic, if we don't have much motivation, if we're sitting around a lot, that's going to increase kapha. So that's how your doshas can go out of balance all the time. So the important thing to know here is, what are the signs of imbalance for your unique dosha? And this is what I cover in an in-depth consult with each client. I educate each client on their individual signs of imbalance, so that they have more awareness of their subtle signals of imbalance and are able to catch those signs really early on and bring them back into balance easily with food and lifestyle and mindfulness techniques before they manifest into a deeper imbalance or aggravation. Therefore, on a daily basis, when you're doing, your morning meditation or just checking in with your body or mind each morning, it's important to do a self-inquiry. Like, well, how does my body feel? Do I have a lot of bloating today? If I have a lot of bloating, well, then I need to focus on foods and drinks that are going to help relieve that. Do I feel tired today? Do I feel lethargic? Well, then I need to move a little bit more today. Do I feel mentally exhausted? Am I feeling stressed? Well, what am I going to do today to relieve that stress? So it's important to check in each day to see how you're feeling and have the education there. Right? Well, I know I have these tools. I know how to bring myself in balance. And this is what I cover, like I said, in an individual consult. When I'm doing a consultation with someone, I may say, okay, so when you're feeling this excess heat in the body, this is how it manifests for you, and so on. Or when you have excess kapha, this is how it's manifesting in your body, or excess vata. And again, it would really depend on your mind-body type. So a more detailed insight into your individual signs of imbalance, you would receive that in a private consult. And I do them online, so you can find that on my website, or just click on the link in the show notes here. So thank you so much for that question, Angela. I hope that answers your question. And yes, like I said, it's every day our body's talking to us, so it's really important to do that daily check-in and see what's going to support you today. So Deb now has a question. What is Ayurveda's advice for healthy bones? What food, exercise, and lifestyle tips would be best to follow? I've just been diagnosed with borderline osteoporosis. Thank you. Thank you, Deb. And I'm sorry to hear about your diagnosis, but there's certainly things you can do, which is great news. So osteoporosis, for everyone listening, is a condition in which the density of the bone decreases, and therefore makes the bones very fragile and susceptible to fractures. Now, according to Ayurveda, the thinning of the bones or bone mass is a vata imbalance. So, Deb, in answer to your question, we're going to break it down to food, lifestyle, and exercise, as you asked. So, for your food, you need to look at balancing the vata through diet. And again, of course, I would like to chat with you privately to give you a tailored strategy, but I'm definitely going to give you advice today for balancing vata. And a diet of really freshly cooked whole foods that are like soft or mushy in texture are great for vata. And the food needs to be rich in protein, rich in calcium, and rich in good fats. Seasoned, so warming spices, and served warm or hot. You definitely want to stay away from raw, from cold, or dry foods. So these types of foods, the ones that are rich in protein, calcium, good fats, that are seasoned and with warming spices and served warm, they're going to calm vata by lubricating and nourishing the tissues and bones, by preserving moisture, maintaining warmth, and also helping with digestion and elimination. So the foods you want to look at are grounding foods. Cooking up some root vegetables are great. Lots of stews and soups. You want to make sure you have lots of moisture in your food, and making sure that you're staying away from anything dry and light. So things like popcorn, rice cakes, sprouts, all those light foods would not be good for you right now. You want lots of protein, lots of good fats, and lots of calcium. And Ayurveda really recommends sesame seeds as an effective home remedy for osteoporosis because they're really high in natural calcium. Now, when you have the hull of the seeds on, 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds contains 88 milligrams of calcium, which is pretty amazing. So that's something you could have some sesame seeds every morning. Ayurveda recommends just taking some every morning, maybe a tablespoon every morning, and just chewing on those, or adding them into food could be helpful as well. However, sesame seeds can be heating for pitta. So again, I would need to look at your constitution to make sure that if you're adding in a lot of sesame, that you're not aggravating Pitta is part of your constitution. So as you can see, everyone, it's so important to have that individual knowledge of your dosha. So you don't take the general information, implement it, and then find out then that you have something else becoming aggravated because you're causing an imbalance or an aggravation to your second dosha, as it were. So that's my tips on food, Deb. Now, talking about lifestyle. Well, for osteoporosis, then again, it's very important to have a routine because that will help balance vata as well. So routine in sleeping and waking, routine in your meals, and in exercise. Also lots of vitamin D, which helps the body absorb calcium and improves bone health. And getting out in the sun, to get that vitamin D for about 30 minutes each day, it would be really good. Get the sun on your skin. And also making sure you're doing like vata pacifying self-care practice or dinacharya. I covered those there's a whole episode in the podcast dedicated to dinacharya or daily self-care practices. And that's episode number 16. Exercise is very important for osteoporosis because exercise can help build bone density. So things like weight training, and studies have shown that strength training over a period of time can really help prevent bone loss and may even help build new bones. There was a study done with postmenopausal women who participated in a strength training program for a year, and they really saw significant increases in their bone density in the spine and hips area, which are the areas most commonly affected by osteoporosis in older women. And so making sure that you're getting some weight training in there, or strength training, along with walking and yoga as well, is great. And maintaining strong muscles through these practices helps to keep up your balance and coordination, which is really important as we get older, to have confidence in our core strength and in our balance, because this is critical in preventing falls, which can lead to osteoporosis-related fractures. And even for people without osteoporosis, it's really important to keep that focus as we get older on feeling confident in our balance. So always working the muscles and the core. And yoga is great at that because we have a lot of balancing practices, a lot of balancing asanas and postures in yoga to help with that. So that's something I recommend for everybody. So Deb, I hope that helps. And Deb, and for everybody listening, don't forget I offer that free Ayurvedic discovery call, online call, which if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me. There's no obligation to go forward. I'm happy to offer some advice and tips. Okay. Gina asked the next question. What is the Ayurvedic view on lab testing, and do we need to, or should we look to utilize these tests for a more accurate diagnosis and treatment? Thank you, Gina, for your question. Well, Ayurveda goes back, as we know, over 5,000 years, and they didn't have lab testing then. However, modern science has made amazing advancements, and lab testing is one of the areas that can give us a great insight into what's going on in our body. Therefore, I think it's good to get general testing done, like blood testing, or if your doctor recommends certain tests, as long as they're not too intrusive on the body. And that would depend on what the test is and what the circumstances are. Of course, if you have a serious illness and your doctors wants you to send you for some in-depth testing, which may be a little bit intrusive on the body, then it's necessary to get those tests done to make the right diagnosis and treatment. And Ayurveda, as we know, focuses on prevention. So Ayurveda is all about educating each person in their unique mind-body type and helping them to understand and give them the tools to keep their body and mind in balance so those illnesses and disease don't manifest. However, when it comes to a stage, if you didn't catch the early signs and now you have a disease or a serious illness in the body, well then, modern science, modern medicine is amazing. And then you, of course, need to take the advice of the doctors and the technology we have nowadays and MRIs and scans and so on and the tests, we definitely should take advantage of those. But what in Ayurveda, what we want to do is educate people to maintain balance in the first place, so that you don't have to hopefully get to that point where you need some serious tests or you have a serious illness. So Gina, I hope that answers your question. And really, if it's just a general status update on your health, I do recommend having some general blood tests done. I think it's a great thing to do just to keep in check. And, of course, we want to have awareness and sensitivity to our own body, but these tests can really help give us an insight into what's going on as well. Now, Gina, you had a second part to your question. Also, if we are dual dosha type, and both are balanced, which do we follow in terms of lifestyle and food choices? Okay, great question. And this is a question that comes often. So if you have dual dosha and both are in balance, what should you do? Well, when you are in balance, we should be able to follow an 80-20 lifestyle, diet and lifestyle. This is what I believe. So therefore, 80% of the time, we have a great routine of daily self-care practices and we're eating our seasonal, organic, local and unprocessed foods. And we have we're maintaining that balance. And then 20% of the time, we have a meal out or we go on vacation or we have a treat. But our body can handle it because it's only for a short period, right? So it's not about following a specific lifestyle for a dosha. It's not about saying, you need to do this, you need to live like this all the time in order to keep your vata in balance, or you need to live like this all the time in order to keep your kapha in balance. We only bring in those specific lifestyle guidance and foods when your body is aggravated or your mind is aggravated. So in general, you should be able to eat an assortment of foods and enjoy life and not have to worry about following a certain strict routine. We should be able to live that 80-20 lifestyle. And then with the knowledge of our imbalances for our unique mind-body type, know when we're out of balance. So if you're getting heartburn, you're like, uh-oh, my pitta is high. Okay, I need to bring in the pitta balancing diet today and pitta balancing practices for, a few days until that comes under control again. Or if we're having insomnia, okay, my vata is aggravated. So now I need to bring in some calming lifestyle techniques like meditation, getting some good rest, making sure I have vata balancing diet going on for a while until I can calm my nervous system down, calm my mind down, and get some good sleep going on. And similarly for kapha, if you're feeling lethargic or foggy-minded, or maybe you're gaining a lot of weight, then okay, I need to bring in those kapha routines. I need to get moving more. I need to be more active. I need lighter foods until I feel that I'm balanced again. So in summary, Gina, we should be, like I said, able to live that 80-20 lifestyle. We should have a routine of daily self-care practices to keep us in balance. But in regards food, there's no strict menu we should be sticking to. When you are in balance, you should be able to enjoy an assortment of foods. But just always being mindful and checking in. If there's any signs of imbalance, well, then either looking at what you ate the previous day or what's going on in your life and having that awareness, and then bringing in those balancing foods or lifestyle practices in order to bring you back into balance. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. But the nice thing in Ayurveda is it's not about following a strict routine. It's about living your life, enjoying your life, but knowing when those signs of imbalance coming in, catching them early and knowing exactly what to do and bringing your body back into balance fast so you can just go on living your life. So it's really about maintenance. And with those daily self-care practices in place, we can really keep ourselves in balance. Okay, so our next question is with Ella. How do I achieve clear, healthy skin? Thank you, Ella, for that question. And I'm here to tell you that healthy skin is an inside job. And really, when our skin is showing signs of imbalance, if there's a vata imbalance, it might be dryness. If there's a pitta imbalance, it might be psoriasis, dermatitis, acne, or rashes. If it's a kapha imbalance, you might have oily skin with bumps onto the skin, the toxins onto the skin. So these imbalances showing up in the skin are coming from imbalances in your body. Now, of course, we can use, certain products, and like aloe vera will calm down the pitta aggravation. With kapha, you need maybe more of a gentle exfoliation. And with vata, you need more moisturizing for the skin. That could be a surface area way to help it. However, you really need to look deeper and look towards what's going on inside that's causing this in the first place. What's the root of these imbalances? And it's usually an imbalance in the dosha. And it more than likely stems to an imbalance in the digestive system, which is where Ayurveda always looks to, because our digestive health is paramount to our overall health, and imbalances there or problems with the digestive health lead to problems other places in the body. So besides from taking care of the skin on the surface, it's really important to look deeper. And I would recommend that you do regular cleansing to help keep the skin looking vibrant and glowing. And any time after a cleanse, one thing I always hear from my clients is that their skin looks amazing and feels amazing. So it really is an inside job, and it's something that you really need to look at diet and lifestyle. But the biggest way to affect your skin is by regular cleansing, to get the digestion working right, to get the toxins out of the body, and to really help that skin look vibrant. Because, essentially what we eat becomes our skin cells. So what we eat today is going to be broken down, assimilated by the body, and makes up our tissues and our cells. So really important to look at what you're eating, how you're eating, your lifestyle, and so on. But if you're having serious skin problems, a cleanse could really just reset all that for you. Okay, thanks for that question, Ella. So next question is with Sandra, and she says, how to once and for all have strong digestion and assimilation so that I can eat all vegetables and good foods to reverse my deficiencies, balance my hormones, and have clear thinking and a healthier mood? Great question. Thank you, Sandra. Well, Sandra, the simple answer is similar to the one I gave to Ella, is digestive reset cleanse. If you're having problems with your digestion, if you feel like it's not strong, and if you feel like you're not assimilating properly and you're not getting there for the nutrients, I really think we need to reset the digestion. Of course, I would need to speak with you individually on this, but my general advice here would be reset the digestive system, open up the channels of elimination and detox of the body to remove the toxins, and then build back up a strong digestive fire so that you can therefore digest the vegetables and the good foods you want without experiencing any excessive gas or bloating or constipation or acid reflux or whatever it is that you're experiencing, making sure that your digestion is working well, it's efficient, you're digesting your food well. Because as we know in Ayurveda, undigested food is the bedrock for disease in the body, because undigested food leads to ama, or toxins, which is that white, putrid, smelly, sticky stuff that we find on our tongue every morning. And that's what ama is like in the body. And it basically moves around the body, finds maybe some weaknesses, and lays down in those areas, whether it's in the joints or in the tissues or in the channels of the body. And that's when it causes problems and illness. So we really want to make sure, and that's why Ayurveda focuses on digestion. And now modern science is going, hey, there's something through this microbiome and our digestive health, because 80% of our immunity is housed in our digestive system. So Ayurveda knew this way back when, which is amazing. And so that's why if you're saying for once and for all, I want strong digestion assimilation, the digestive reset cleanse would be the best thing for you. And I would also recommend that you get to know, of course, your mind-body type and what foods may aggravate your body. Because there are certain foods for certain individuals. Like for Vatas, it would be cruciferous vegetables, may aggravate Vata. But there's ways that you can make them better. Say if you love Brussels sprouts and you have a high Vata constitution, but you know they give you gas. Well, there's spices and ways of cooking them that you can help alleviate that. And the same for Pitta. If you like really spicy food, but you know that it causes heartburn and loose stool and acid reflux and so on, there's ways that you can manage that. And again, it will be individual to each person. And if you're Kapha and you like really heavy comfort food, but it makes you so lethargic and heavy, again, there's ways that you can work with those foods and manage it so you can enjoy those foods and at the same time not cause aggravation. Okay, so I hope that helps, Sandra, and thank you for your question. Next question is with Rachel. How do I find time to take care of myself when life is so busy? I hear you, Rachel. Well, I mentioned earlier that early morning is the best time to find time for you and to take care of you. And the best way to start your day is with your daily self-care practices, right? The Dinacharya in the early hours of the morning when everything is calm and there's less stress and there's less distractions. So that's the time I'd really make the time. So that starts with going to bed early, of course, the night before, so you can get up early the next morning. And starting your day taking care of you so that you feel grounded is the most amazing way to start the day, because then you can be there for others, be it your family, your co-workers, whomever, throughout the day, because you've already taken care of home base. You feel strong, you feel nurtured, you feel supported with your daily practices. So super important to have those early in the day. Now, if you have children who are up early and you're like, there's no way I'm going to get this done early in the morning, my child is up at 5 a.m. Well, then maybe incorporate the children into some of your practice. It won't be perfect, but it's better than nothing, right? And you have to work with where you're at in your life and your lifestyle. So maybe doing some stretching or yoga together with the children if they're up, involving them in your stretching, or have them to do some breathing. Children love the breath work. Have them do some breathing practices with you, or if they're older, maybe you could sit down on the floor, and this is not necessarily in the morning, this could be throughout the day, maybe when they come home from school. If you want to do some art or cooking with them, that both of you are coloring, you can get your adult coloring book, and that could be meditative for everyone. So ideally, the ideal is to find time first thing in the morning. If that's not possible, well, then the next ideal, especially if you have young children, is to incorporate them. So rather than being stressed out going, oh my gosh, I have to find time for myself, or being resentful of the busyness of life, just go, okay, how can I make the best of this situation? So incorporating the children is a great way to do that. And I work with clients a lot, on that, and making, again, because I don't want to cause extra stress by going, you have to do this at this time. It's like, no, let's look at your lifestyle first and then see what we can fit in around that. So Rachel, I hope that answers your question, and thank you again. Okay, so my next question is from Victoria. She says, I would like some advice on how to exercise in the new year. What's the best tips that Ayurveda gives us? Okay, thank you so much for your question, Victoria. And well, this is dependent on your dosha. Again, on your mind-body type. In Ayurveda, there's no one-size-fits-all in anything in life. So we look at your mind-body type, and it's really important as you're starting out, if you're especially new to an exercise routine, is that you take it easy at first. Sometimes we can be really eager and maybe overdo it. So starting out gently and slowly and building up. But here are some tips for each for each dosha type. So Vata. Well, Vata types we know are made up of air and space, and they're like the wind, right? In nature, they have bursts of energy, but tend to tire quickly. So routine, as I've mentioned before, is really key for Vata. Planning your workouts, making sure you don't overexert yourself. When it comes to exercise, it would be best to take time to slow down and unwind, because of Vata's tendency is to go, always moving, lots of energy, lots of moving around and spontaneity. The yoga or the exercise should be more of a balance. So things like restorative yoga, Tai Chi, walking barefoot on the beach to ground your energy, practices and exercises that are going to restore your energy more so than deplete you. And things like dancing are great, but making sure that it's not excessive. Signs of overexertion are dizziness, exhaustion, like tingling or cramping in the body. So watching out for that. So for Vata, because you're always on the move, because you're always going, it's best to slow down. Your exercise should be just about restoring the body, yin yoga, really chilled out, exercising that gets you in touch with your body. So like the yoga is great because you're focusing on the body. Tai Chi is great because you're focusing on the movements. Walking barefoot, connecting with the earth that's grounding you. And then for Pitta, well, Pitta we know is like the sun, the heat. It's made up of fire and water, and they can be very intense and competitive by nature. So if a Pitta person pushes too hard, it will lead to an imbalance, and so it's necessary to back off the intensity and have some fun. Now, Pittas are generally very competitive by nature, and they have the tendency to overheat. So it's important to avoid exercising in the heat and also avoid overly competitive sport. So best exercise for Pitta would be in the cool early morning or early evening, and enjoying things like swimming, walking, hiking in nature, just to relax and to rejuvenate. So early morning is best. And I forgot to mention that for Vata, actually, working out for Vata early morning, for everybody, the ideal time to do exercise is between 6 and 10 a.m. during the Kapha time of day, when the Kapha energy, which is heavy, can support a physical workout. Vatas, if you're working out in the evening, it could affect your sleep. So just be aware of that. For everyone, pretty much, you want to not be working out past 7 p.m. because it could affect your sleep. Probably Kapha not so much, but definitely maybe Vata and Pitta. Okay, so then Kapha. As Kapha is made up of earth and water, it's more stagnant, it's more slow, it's more heavy. They like to chill and maybe need a little bit more of motivation to work out. So for Kapha, it's really important to exercise in groups with friends, or go to classes that provide that motivation that you need, that spark of energy. And then the thing about Kapha is once you get going, you have crazy endurance. So you could just keep going, while Pitta and Vata constitutions are saying no more. You can keep going, but it's just that initial kickstart that you need. So that's why group activities are great for you. And activities that are going to get your heart pumping and creating a sweat are best. And just getting that heat going, building a sweat and getting things moving, the lymph and the blood moving the body, be really good for you. So thank you, Victoria, for that question. I hope that helps when you're choosing your exercise in the new year. And the final question we have today is from Maria. And Maria asks, how might my digestive problems be influencing my current state of mind? Great question, Maria. And yes, indeed, your digestive problems are certainly affecting your state of mind. The gut and the brain are in constant contact with each other with chemical messages that are going back and forth between the brain and the gut. And scientists are now referring to our gut, the lining of our gut, as our second brain. And this back and forth communication is known as the gut-brain axis, and it happens through the vagus nerve. Now, Ayurveda understood that there was this gut-brain connection, again, thousands of years ago, and the science in modern research is still young, but studies show that there is evidence that a healthy gut can curb inflammation and cortisol levels and lower your reaction to stress, improve memory, and even reduce social anxiety. So there is certainly a connection. And again, Ayurveda has talked about this a lot. And that's why Ayurveda focuses on the digestive health, especially because, as we know now, the microbiome is so important, our ecosystem of the gut, and that our gut or a gastrointestinal tract houses up to 80% of our immunity. And in fact, Maria, I'm going to be doing a webinar in the new year in January 2019 on gut health and on the microbiome. I am recording this before the holidays, so please stay up to date with what's going on via my newsletter, and I'll put a link to the newsletter in the show notes here, or you can sign up on my website at elementshealingandwellbeing.com. You can also join us in the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group to stay up to date with what's going on. I don't have the exact date of that webinar right now, but I will be doing a webinar in early January 2019, specifically on this subject, on gut health, on the microbiome. And I'll go into lots more detail there. So, but for now, there is definitely a connection between your digestive problems and your current state of mind, and modern science is now understanding this. And like I said, Ayurveda understood this thousands of years ago, and it's time that we really pay attention to our digestive health and our microbiome. So, as you can see, Ayurveda is all focused around digestive health. How many times have I said that in this podcast recording? And I also wanted to let you know about my upcoming Reset, Restore, Renew program. It's a 7-week online transformational journey where we reset your digestive health, we restore and rejuvenate your body physically and mentally, and then we renew you by installing a new operating system of these healthy habits, these dinacharya, and also renew you by educating you even deeper than I can get in a consult, because you'll go through a 4-week Daily Habits for Holistic Health program where there's a short online webinar daily, and we'll start implementing daily routines. But you'll also be educated even further on how your mind, body, and soul can affect your health. So if you want to join us on that, please check out the link in the show notes, or you can just go visit my website again, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and on the homepage, click on the orange Start Here button in the top right-hand corner of my website for all the details. If you have further questions you want to ask before registering, just take advantage of my free discovery call. We can hop online and I can answer any of your questions. That program starts January 18, 2019. So please stay in touch. Like I said, I have that webinar coming up in January as well. And stay in touch via the newsletter, which you can sign up to in the show notes or on my website, and also in the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group. Thank you so much to all of you who asked questions for this episode, and I really appreciate it, because I think if we're asking questions, there's many other people asking the same. So I appreciate you sending in those questions, and I hope this information was helpful. And thank you, as always, for your support. It's the first episode of 2019, and I look forward to bringing you much more information and exciting guests going forward. Take good care of yourself. I'm wishing you a very happy and healthy 2019, and I look forward to supporting you on your health and healing journey. And I hope to connect with you soon. Ciao for now.